Welcome to Massive Passive Cash Flow, the podcast that guides professionals to financial prosperity. Join our community and let's start building your wealth. Here's your host, Gary Wilson.
Welcome back to the Massive Passive Cash Flow podcast. This is the Industry Leader Edition. We got a great guest today, Darren Mancuso, who I know professionally and personally. And for part-time in my life, we're actually only a couple hours apart from each other. I tend to move around a good bit, but I spend a good bit of time up near Pittsburgh. Aaron's up in the greater Cleveland area, and we're natural competitors, but we're brothers from other mothers. I tell you, as soon as we met, it was like instantaneous. You'll see. So yeah. First off, Darren, thanks for joining me on the podcast. I've been looking forward to doing this for several weeks now.
Absolutely, me too.
Yeah. Hey, if you wouldn't mind, we all come from different backgrounds. I don't think anybody was born, hey, I'm going to be a real estate agent. That's like we start off wanting to be firemen, policemen, astronauts, whatever. So if you could take us like the starting point of what led you in the professional world.
Sure.
What allowed you to end up here where you are today? What was that path? What did it involve? And because it'll help people understand, then we can talk about what you're doing now,
Sure. I graduated from college in the early 90s, and I was learning how to write software, which was like chewing on nails, but I knew that the end reward was going to be a great financial future if I could just get through it. So I just plowed through it, and I just kept grinding till I got my degree. And then I got a great job as an IT consultant, making a lot of money at a young age. And but my passion, my heart was not in it. I was just doing it for the paychecks. And I did that for almost 25 years. And I worked for big companies like IBM, and they had me at their clients, which was the Navy and NASA and the Department of Interior in Washington, D.C. and Kraft Foods in Chicago. And so I was on an airplane every week flying to some client for months and months at a time. And so I was making a lot of money, and one of my good friends, Joe, got his real estate license at RE/MAX. And I said, hey, I want to talk to you. I want to do some stuff. I want to invest in real estate. And so him and I started as a side hustle. I would come home on the weekends, and we would flip a couple houses a year, like 2 to 3 houses a year with our own money. We would just do one at a time. And that's why it was so slow, is because we were using our own money. And so from 2006 to 2012, we flipped about 15 houses together. And then he said, in 2012, he says, I want to take a break. And I knew what that meant. He really it wasn't something that he was passionate about. And so that's when we started our own company. But that's how I got my start in real estate. That's how I cut my teeth in the business.
Yeah. And he actually started at a pretty historical time, and at least in terms of real estate, if not overall economically in the United States and the world. I mean, it was a major recession. We're coming out of it, and never underestimate the resiliency of the human spirit. Particularly, never underestimate the resiliency of the American spirit. People were ready. We'd had enough of the recession. We're like, you know what? We're gonna buy, build, invest, spend, create our way out of this, and this is exactly what happened. It's been the longest running recovery in the history since we've been, tracking our economics in the U.S. But so moving forward, I couldn't help it. When I first connected today, I could hear in the background, hey, we just landed a new job and a new construction deal and all that. So what brought the new construction, and how did that come to be part of this?
Yeah. Well, we flipped. We really got hardcore flipping from 2012 to 2019. Mm-hmm. And my wife got involved in the business too. And she was like, hey, let's do this Facebook thing. Like, let's put all of our flips on Facebook. And for me, as an investor, I'm like, that's okay if you want to do that, but I'm just going to buy, fix it up, and sell it. Who cares if you post it on, say, Facebook or whatever? But back at that time, when we started doing that, and the fact that we were putting out a product that was very high quality and very high end, and which I always was second guessing myself, because I thought, I could be making a lot more money if I just paint carpet, lipstick, and get the hell out of here. I could have made a lot more money. But what I didn't realize is we were building a brand. and people came to know that brand, and we were putting it out on social media at an early stage in the game here, which created an amazing brand, and people kept coming to us. So and which led us to do more bigger projects. Then then we started dabbling in new construction. We did a couple here and there while we were flipping. But I don't want to leave out an important factor. In 2014, I got my real estate license because my business partner had left the partnership. And I was like, you know what, I'll make an extra couple $1,000s as doing the buying and the selling. And again, though, when I was putting these houses on the market, I always was very over the top with everything that I did. And so the open houses had, fresh squeezed lemonade and fresh cookies and expensive water, Fiji water. And, so it also, I learned that every detail mattered, and it just kept elevating the brand. And, but that's how we got into new construction, is that was just the logical next step. And there was a couple other transitions that we could get to as well, but that's kind of where I got my real estate license, and that also turned into this amazing, I couldn't do all the buying, the selling, the project management, the design work, the social media, the legal stuff. I was pretty much running everything, and I was going to be a real top of that. So I started. I was at Remax for 8 years just because it was easy. That's where Joe was at. And I started hiring real estate agents to work for me on my team because I couldn't handle the leads that were coming in from the brand.
Yeah.
One agent turned to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So over 8 years, I built up a team of 6 agents, which I had really no idea what I was doing. I had no idea how to build houses. I had no idea how to flip houses, but you just put one foot in front of the other. And so that's a high level summary. There's a lot of details.
I know that's funny, but you're like, to you and to me, it all makes perfect sense. But once you start to unpack it and unravel it, you realize there's a lot of pivotal moments in there, especially in the early days. You're making a lot of decisions for the first time.
Yes.
And you don't know if it's going to go well or not. You're like, in the heat of the moment, you got to decide, I'm going to either go left or go right, Well, eventually you get better at that,
Yes. You made a very good point, and it just triggered my brain to think about the bad. Everybody always sees the good. But what a lot of people don't know is the sleepless nights and the anxiety and and what ended up happening was we had a really good thing going and everything was going great. And we had built our company alongside another subcontracting company that grew from 5 or 6 employees to like 60 people during that time. And a lot of these guys, including the owner of the company, were AA guys. And he was the leader, and he was helping them get their lives back together, like driving them to the job sites and buying them tools. And so we had a really great thing going until, unfortunately, the owner of the company fell off the wagon, and the whole company unraveled, which was basically part of took my company almost down. Really, I had 15 flips in process with them, and all of my budgeting and all of my everything was based on us partnering together on these projects. So we had my wife was having anxiety attacks on the floor a couple times a day. She thought we were going to lose everything. And so I had to turn the business around. I had to help her. And I was worried about leaving her alone. And so it was a really, really difficult time. But we transitioned again from, I couldn't buy any more flips because that was not happening. So I was selling the flips that we had on our board and buying a rental property, because no matter what, I couldn't convince her. The more I tried to convince her that we weren't losing our house and we weren't going to be living on the streets, the more she felt like I wasn't seeing the big picture. And, so I started to sell the flips and buy rental properties in a really high-end neighborhood here on the west side of Cleveland. And then she would do a light rehab on those units, and which was like super easy for her compared to the complex projects we were doing as a flipping company. And then we started to get this passive income that was coming in every month, which was now tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars that come in every month. And because of the appreciation and because of the appreciation and the appreciation of the rents, the amount of cash flow that comes in every month could pay our, we could live 3 times over. And that really changed our life. It was it was the first time that I felt that freedom, that I didn't have to go flip another house. I didn't have to. So that was a pivotal moment, just, being transparent that not everything always goes as planned and not everything is, rosy, and it's a tough business.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing is, and I think most people that would attest to this, who've been around long enough, especially when you're an entrepreneur, when you go through the ups and downs of being an entrepreneur, being in business, the first time around is extremely stressful. I remember my moment having an anxiety attack. I don't know what was happening. I just, one day, I mean, it was, in hindsight, it wasn't a big thing, but back then it was the biggest thing I ever experienced. It was the kids were off of school, and I said, honey, I can't stand here anymore. We got to go somewhere and do something. She's like, well, okay. So let's all hop in a car. We went to this park, and I could hear I was there, but I wasn't there. My body was there, but my brain was somewhere else. And I could hear the kids saying, Mommy, what's wrong with Daddy? And I literally sat on this rock on this trail and said, I just need to sit here for a minute. And it wasn't a physical exhaustion thing. It was a mental exhaustion thing. And I had my moment, and I got back up, and I said, let's head back. Let's go swimming. And that was the first of many. But what happens is you get used to it. And I mean this in a very positive way. Everybody listening, I'm not trying to be callous or even cynical. I'm just telling you, your risk threshold is like a muscle that you exercise. And you get used to making bigger moves and handling bigger challenges, because the bigger you get, the bigger your challenges are going to be. But you develop the ability to handle things mentally and emotionally. So I just want you to know, you're going to go through it. I'm speaking to you listening. I'm not, Darren already knows this. He's already been through it. But have faith. You've got a family that loves you. You got friends that love you. You've had success. You know how to be successful because you've already done it. You're going to have your challenges. But the cool thing, like with Darren, is, he was open to opportunity, and for every problem, there's a solution. And the solution was, let's pick up some rental properties, right? And I know for me, that was the foundation of my business success, was all the rental properties I had. That created the foundation upon which I launched other businesses, right? So Darren, let's get back to you now. You've had, so you started buying these rental properties. And did you leverage the people you already knew in construction to help maintain the rental properties, like doing the maintenance and repairs? Is that how you did that? Kind of take us down that path a little bit, Did you know that you can participate in class every Monday? We call it Monday Night Live, 7 p.m. Eastern, with me and dozens of other investor agents from around the country, in fact, the world. Every Monday, totally free. No selling, no recruiting, just straight up education on anything and everything in real estate. And we have a lot of good guests coming on once or twice a month, bringing in expertise on subjects like how to buy a house with crypto. Okay. How about them apples? What about AI? How's AI affecting our business? How about the metaverse, blockchain processing? We're already using it in title work. So come on to Monday Night Live. Be ready to take notes and ask questions, because it's live and engaging, and you get to participate by asking questions and meeting others. So we'll see you there. Go to realestatewithgarywilson.com, click on the resource tab, drop down, and you'll see Monday Night Live. And in there, you can see one of the most recent classes. But more importantly, you can register for class as many as you want going up to like the end of the year, I believe. So in any case, do that. We'll see you on Monday Night Live. Look forward to meeting you in person. Take care.
100%. Yeah. Because we already had a construction company, if you will, the management of the rental properties becomes very easy. And the level of complexity to manage the rental properties or even do a turnover of a unit is way less and way easier than what we were doing, adding additions and, adding second floors on ranches. And so it's And really the thing about it where the money comes in every month and it's predictable and you're getting the depreciation on all the properties and you're getting the appreciation and the rents are going up every year. And so that was a real big, which I know I started with the flipping first and then got into the rental properties. But once I had the rental properties generating that much cash flow, it allowed me to build other businesses without the emotional decision making. I can make decisions about hiring a 6-figure salary person like that because I didn't need to make a profit. I didn't need to make a profit on my other businesses. So I built them much quicker, much faster, less emotion. And I just, and that's why we had a lot of explosive growth in the last 2 years.
Yeah. That's amazing. And what's funny is I was the opposite. I started out buying multifamilies and then that didn't flip till later on. Because I remember thinking to myself, well, flipping, I'm gonna shoot the goose laying the golden egg. I get paid once, but I will tell you, flipping is a lot more fun than rentals. I mean, this like seeing a house that's that started off, it's a C grade property. You make it a A or B or A grade property. It's a wonderful feeling, and you make money doing it too, obviously, and helped you build a brand. So it's funny how we went about it the opposite way, but we ended up at the same place. And then, so now going forward, you have these 6 people working for you in real estate. I want to talk about teams a little bit.
Yeah.
You've got your operations people, you've got your sales people. You really got 2 different teams that work in unison with each other.
Yes.
But anything you can share with the listeners about, building the team, and then we can talk about what you did later on when you moved to EXP with the team, what happened there, because I did the same thing and I didn't know what's going to happen. I was just basically, I knew people that had gone over were pretty high up and doing quite well. And I'm thinking, well, my gosh, these are smart people with a lot of money and they don't just make these decisions, easily. So, but anyway, so back to you. Talk about the team a little bit, team structure, building it, and then we can get into what you did next,
Yeah. It was pretty simple. I had never been on a team before, and I had never been in retail as an agent in the retail world working with clients. So, but I had purchased and negotiated hundreds of purchases, and I listed a lot of expensive real estate, and I learned how to negotiate, and I knew how to get leverage. And so I had been in the middle of a lot of transactions. I just never worked with the public. So that was kind of my little bit of a weak spot, but I moved forward anyways. And I said, hey, I've got leads coming in, and I would hire somebody and leverage those leads and use that as leverage to get good agents to come work for me who just need the lead. And then I said, look, all I need you to do is white glove this client and convert, help them get their home or help them find something that we could then renovate for them, because we're not flipping anymore, but I'll do a project for somebody else that owns their house or they want to build a new house. I just wasn't going to buy anything. There's a lot more risk. You have to pay the right price. You have to make sure that you don't find anything behind the walls. You have to make sure the interest rates don't change. You have to make sure the economy doesn't crash. You have to make sure all these things when you're flipping. And when you do a construction project for somebody, all I have to do is make sure that I priced it right. I got my margin built in and I execute. That's it. It shortens. I'm not saying there's no risk. It's just I'm greatly reducing the amount of possible ways to lose money.
Yeah. Well, and you're focused. I mean, that's the thing is, if you can reduce or eliminate what I call the downside risk, it allows you more time, energy, and even money to focus on the upside potential. That's a very brilliant business move to make. Everybody should be always looking at that equation. How can I reduce or eliminate downside risk and then provide more time, energy, money to the upside potential? It allows you to focus. So you focus on the thing that sounds like you're good at and you enjoy. To me, that taking something from point A to point B, a dog with fleas to the dog show winner, that's an amazing feeling. I mean, it's just, I still watch those shows today and I'm in the business, the flipping show,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Me too. Yeah. Yeah. It's like an attorney and watching Law and Order, though. It's kind of weird, but
yeah. Yeah. Well, the flipping shows are probably a lot more fun because it always ends up on a high note and, Law and Order, you just never know where you're going to get. But But in any case, so back now, let's talk about brokerage a little bit, because when I
Yeah.
first started, Darren, I had no interest at all in being an agent, being a broker, or any way, shape, or only reason I got my license was because the agents weren't able to help me. They weren't trained to work with an investor. I thought I've got to solve that. That's exactly what I did.
Yeah.
So talk about that a little bit, and then take us into where you are.
Yeah. Same thing. I got my license not because I wanted to be a realtor, but because I wanted to take control. I used it as leverage to operate my business.
Mhm.
And the other thing is that I didn't want to waste the leads that were coming in. And I'm like, I want to convert that into more cash flow.
Yeah.
And so it sort of turned into another passive business where, yes, I'm the leader, and I'm there to help motivate and guide and educate the people that I was bringing on. But I also had a lot of limiting beliefs about how fast I could grow that team, when I should add another person. And it's like, oh, okay, when I get to this level, I'll add another person, or when I get comfortable, I'll be ready to add another agent. Um,
Yeah.
and that held me back. That's why it took me 8 years to go from 0 agents to 6.
Yeah.
And in the last 24 months, I know we're jumping ahead here, but I'm excited about this. I'm very excited. The team here in Cleveland has 18, 19 agents on it. And I've
Nice.
partnered with 46 agents in total. So my organization has just multiplied in front of my face over the last 24 months with the people that I've partnered with at EXP, though. So
Mhm.
it's a lot of things between my ears here that were slowing me down. And I just needed someone to show me the ropes and say, hey, do this, this, and this, and the support from you guys and the leadership team and all that. That's how I got to where I'm at, moving from
Yeah.
EXP. So
Yeah. I know. I when I first came over, I was totally focused on building the team. Now, my model was unique because I didn't want a location specific team. I wanted a team that had agents in many locations all across the country, because I know as an investor, 56% of our investor clients were buying out of state. That's more than half. I'm like, we need to address this. And if we
yeah,
could address it, just like if you have, I have a Marriott account. There's like the dozen Marriott brands, from Ritz Carlton all the way down to whatever the bottom is. I don't know what it is, but I know wherever I go, if I want to stay at
so the top one,
JW
I
Marriott.
see that.
Yeah, JW. I love JW Marriott. I love Ritz, except when I go to Ritz and I get a meal, like a supper with what's let's see, shrimp, crab. What's the little round things? I can't believe I'm drawing a
Oh,
blank, because I'm scallops. Yeah,
yeah,
this
scallops.
happened last time. It was whatever it was. It was $46, but I love scallops. I'm thinking, great. Well, they deliver the meal, and it's 3 little scallops. And I'm thinking, man, I gotta eat more of that. So I ended up ordering some other meal. But in any
Yeah,
case, I'm just joking around. But the point is I know wherever I go, if I go to JW Marriott, which was my favorite one, I know exactly what I'm going to get. I know I can count on it. I can rely on it. And I thought to myself, I want to do the same thing for the investors. I want them to know, whether they're in Des Moines, Iowa, or Atlanta, Georgia, or Spokane, Washington, with the Global Investor Agent team, they're going to get the same, white glove service, where agents are trained to walk the walk and talk the talk. They have the tools, they have the strategies. They know how to get the off-market deals that the investors want. And that's what we've been able to accomplish. And it just far exceeded my expectations. I thought it was going to take like 10 years. And here it
yeah.
is, not even 4 years later. We're already in more than 38 states.
Wow.
But the thing is, the support was critical, because where I was, what I got was a lot of no's. No, no, do it this way, Gary. No, do it that way. No, do it our way. And what? But it was the old franchise model way, very slow, very linear. Here it
Right.
was like, oh yeah, we not only like what you're doing, we're gonna help you do it. And boy, let me tell you, you talk about white glove service. I talk to people all the way at the top routinely, and
Yeah.
I'm really a small fish. I'm still a small fish in a big pond, but I think they see the potential. And I like being a small fish in a big pond versus where I was the big fish in a little pond. Now I feel like I'm a student again in first grade, and I've got a long ways to go and learn.
Isn't that
And I mean, I
awesome?
look at when you look at like, some of the guys above us making $500,000 a month in revenue share and $1 million a month in revenue share. I'm like, are you kidding
Yeah.
me? My focus was production, and it still is, but the revenue share is really growing, and it has really taken off. And like with you, so you got something of value too. You can bring people in and say, look, I can teach you the new construction business. How do you identify the builders? How do you work with the buyers? That's an amazing. And by the way, and I'll let you expand on this too, Daryl or Darren. Excuse me. I think the way the economy is going, I don't care what all the underlying factors are. The fundamentals are never change. They're always the same. You got supply and demand issues. You got inflation. When we're going to have to go through our moment economically, it's going to have to happen. It's a mathematical certainty. But what happens in every recovery? New construction, and man, you've got it in spades. So talk a little bit about where you think we are, where you think we're going, and are you using that to help your people? Is that you're attracting people because of who you are and what you do?
Yeah, for sure. It's really the person that you become. It's the personal development that I've figured out is one of the main things that you have to pay attention to and focus on. It's the person that you become while you're going through all this. And it could be, and I had a really deep thought to myself about this, about even when I was a kid, I cut grass at the country club, and I was a waiter, and I was a busboy, and then I was a telemarketer for Olin Mills, which is a photography studio. And like all those things that you do throughout life it's a big thing, and it all adds up and it creates the person that you're becoming. And I tell all my new agents that I was like, you know what, when you pick up the phone and you cold call and you try to find listings and you do this, that's all building you as a person, and it's changing the person that you are. It's changing your confidence level. It's changing your knowledge. And so that's really important. And I've been focusing on that more now than ever. I have several coaches that I pay to teach me how to do what they're doing. I seek out the people that are doing the things that I want to do, and I pay them to right. Just even when our relationship, Gary, like conversations that we have, the things that you say, you absorb that. And I find myself taking little bits and pieces from things that I've learned from different people, and they end up coming out in conversations. And it changes, you know what I'm saying? Like, have you caught yourself, Coach Burt I know we've all done some coaching with him, and I heard you say a little snippet earlier of something that he says, going from A to B. It's all these little things that you pick up from everybody that you have relationships with. So it really does boil down to the relationships that you have and the people that you surround yourself with. And everybody says that, it's like, oh, it's the people that you surround yourself, but it really is. And it's the time that you spend with other successful people, and you pick up and you absorb those, not only the skills, but also the energy, and the drive and motivation, and our leadership call on Monday. It's, we may not learn something. We may not have this big epiphany when we hang up and be like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I was on that call. I learned X, Y, Z. That's amazing. It's going to change my life. But it's the energy and it's the inspiration that I get from the conversations with other people like you and Jay Kinder and Al Stasek and, all the people that are super successful. So,
yeah. I agree 100%. I'm so grateful that every Monday I get to meet with these people that are, one to several layers ahead of me, and it doesn't cost me a dime. And I can even talk to people at the highest levels, and I'm not meeting with them weekly, but I call them, they know who I am, and they call me, and it doesn't cost me a dime. And every time I have a conversation, this is the beautiful thing about relationships and networking with the right people, is the little things you pick up, the little nuances that help you fill in the gaps. And that's half the battle in life and in business is plugging the gaps with the right information, And the other thing I like about all this is, you learn that these are amazing people. They're not, when I was younger, I grew up, by the way, I worked at a country club too when I was a senior in high school. I worked in the pro shop. And I remember thinking, gee, these wealthy people are having more fun than the broke people. I think I want to hang out with the wealthy people more. Yeah, so I got lucky in college, made some good friends there. And then what
Yeah.
happens is it elevates your level of thinking, guys. This is what I want to kind of leave you with. And Darren, I'm going to let you kind of wrap this up in a second. But
Yeah.
in order to get to your next level, you have to think at that level first. You can't keep thinking at the level you're at because you will stay at that level. Like
Right.
if you just say, I'm going to double my productivity, that doesn't change your thinking. That just makes you work harder. But if you say, you know what, I want to be 10 times bigger this time next year at the end of the day, believe me, your level of thinking will
Yes.
elevate instantaneously. And plus, you'll be hanging around people who are already at that level. And all those little things you pick up are going to help you get there a lot more quickly and safely. And so Darren, if you want to wrap things up here, I mean, any words of wisdom,
Sure.
advice you can give people, about team building, networking, growing an organization. Actually, I'll tee up with this. Think about
Yeah.
this, guys. If you're listening right now, you typically have one stream of income, your commission income. If you look at Darryl, he's got commission income. He's got revenue share, which is essentially profit share. He's got rental income, and he's got income from his construction business. Four streams of income. He's got a solid table. So Darren, take it from here, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say you've got to be obsessed with what you're doing. I know that if you're going to be a small business owner, you almost have to be obsessed with what you're doing because it's not going to be easy, and you have to be willing to do things that other people are not willing to do.
Mhm.
There's another quote that really has been in my mind a lot lately, that your future self is counting on your current self. It's the things that
Oh
you
yeah,
have to do today. It's the activities that you're willing to do to force yourself to do those things that are uncomfortable so that you can later enjoy the success from doing those things. So you have to be and if you want to keep yourself motivated, this is the way I do it anyways. In the beginning, I was sort of self-motivated. I was a lot younger too, and I had a lot of energy. But now I need to surround myself with people that are doing much, much more than I am so that I can absorb
yeah,
some of that energy from them. And the more frequently I can get with those people, the more it helps me. I know that it propels me forward. It doesn't push me, it pulls me. So
yeah,
those are the big things that helped me. And pay attention to the details. The details are very, very important. And the more that you're obsessive and OCD about the details to continually tweak them to get better, that's when, everybody says win the day. So you can win the week, win the month, win the year. You can't just wake up at the end of the year and go, oh my gosh, look at where I am. It's what you're doing every day, every week, every month to get to where you're going. So
yeah. That's pretty profound. I love that part. Your future self is wanting you to step up. Get to your
counting.
next level. Yeah, it's a requirement. So, hey, Darren, for people who are really interested in learning more about what you're doing and maybe even joining you, how can they? Do you have a website, an email address, whatever you want to communicate? We can put it in show notes.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not hard to find. It's Darren at Mancuso Homes, Mancuso. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram. My company name is Mancuso Homes, so www.mancusohomes.com. And very easy to find me. So, and I'm available too if you want to schedule a one-on-one 15-minute or 30-minute strategy session with me. I'm more than willing to talk about rental properties, building a real estate team, passive income, construction companies, flipping houses, building wealth, getting your time
Yeah,
back.
yeah. Oh, and snow skiing. Don't forget about snow skiing.
I love
You
this.
know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. See,
yeah.
my new
That's
thing.
awesome.
Oh, I've been
What's that?
traveling. I've been more places in the last 2 years.
Nice.
Costa Rica, and I'm leaving on Saturday for Jamaica, and I've been to Vegas and just at Florida multiple times, and we're going to go to Greece and then fly and go see the pyramids next summer. We're planning that now, and so
Nice.
it's when you could. I think in the beginning, a lot of people are just focused on how do I make more money? And they're just chasing like, hey, I make this much this year. Next year, I want to make this much. And the year after that, I want to make this much. And then at some point you lift your head up and you go, oh my gosh, I've sacrificed my health. I've sacrificed my marriage. I've sacrificed my family. I've sacrificed my friends, and then you figure out, okay, I'm making a lot of money, but how do I get my time back? And that's what's really important is like, you want to build something. I think that you should be focusing on that from the beginning, and it will change your life when you have the financial wherewithal and the time to do the things that you want to do. Then you've really won at that point.
Yeah. Amen. That's a great way to leave things off. So everybody listen, it's Darren Mancuso, and it's with one S, right? Right, Darren?
Mancuso.
There you go. So guys, take him up on his offer. And if you could please leave a review for the podcast. I think you agree this has probably been one of the best ones. I mean, you heard right from the guy that's actually doing these things in your business, in your industry. He's probably where you would like to be, and he's offered to talk to you. My suggestion is take him up on it. All right. So talk to Darren. You already know how to talk to me. Look me up too. We're happy to do that. We will see you on the next Massive Passive Cash Flow podcast. Again, this is the Industry Leader Edition. All right. In the meantime, God bless you and your families.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Massive Passive Cash Flow. Be sure to go to realestatewithgarywilson.com to join our community and start building wealth today.